We know that there are 118 elements in the world. These elements can be divided into two broad groups: metals and non-metals. About 70% of the elements are metals, while the remaining 30% are non-metals. Metallic elements share some similar properties, while non-metallic elements have their own set of properties. Let's take a closer look. To know which elements are metals and which are non-metals, we look at their physical properties. The first difference is metals can reflect light very well. This is why they look shiny and lustrous. Non-metals, however, are dull. They are not very good at reflecting light. Another difference is that metals don't float in water generally, but non-metals do. This is because most metals are heavier than water, while most non-metals are lighter. This is why we fill balloons with non-metals rather than metals. Also because most non-metals are gases at room temperature like helium, hydrogen, oxygen. Few non-metals are solids like sulfur, phosphorus, and carbon. Carbon is an interesting element as it comes in many forms. It can appear as graphite, like the stuff inside your pencil, or diamonds, the stuff that people use as jewelry. Oh, look out! Who filled the balloon with bromine? Bromine is the only non-metal which is liquid at room temperature. We do not put it in balloons. Did you know? We mostly use helium to fill our balloons. This is because it is safer and less reactive than hydrogen. Hydrogen and a lit match would be explosive. Metals, on the other hand, are mostly solids at room temperature. Some common examples are aluminium, silver, gold, and iron, except mercury. Mercury is the only metal that is liquid at room temperature. This allows us to use it in thermometers. Mercury is also used in a thermometer because metals are good conductors of heat. This means they heat up very quickly as well as cool down very quickly when the heat source is blocked or moved away. On the other hand, non-metals take time to heat up and to cool down. They're also more likely to catch fire. Moving on, let's see how we can light up this bulb. Let's try connecting the non-metal first. That doesn't work. But that's okay. We use them to cover wires so we don't get electrocuted. Fun fact: graphite can surprisingly conduct electricity even though it is a non-metal. Now let's see what happens with the metal. It worked! Metals are really good conductors of electricity. This is why we use copper to make most of the wires that run in your house. The reason copper is used and not other metals like gold and silver is because that would be too expensive. Can you imagine? Gold wires all over your house. Another reason metals are used for wires is because they are ductile. This means they can easily be stretched without breaking. Non-metals cannot be stretched. They are brittle, meaning they break easily. This also means they are not malleable, meaning they cannot be molded into different shapes without breaking or cracking, but metals can. Metals are also used in making cars, airplanes, or in factories for machinery because they have high melting points. A material is said to have a high melting point when it can absorb a lot of heat before softening and liquefying. In other words, It melts at a high temperature. Non-metals have low melting points, which is why most of them are gases at room temperature. Match the element to the correct example. Copper is used in making wires because it is ductile. Helium is used to fill up balloons because it is a safe and non-reactive gas. Iron is used to make pots because it is malleable and has a high melting point. Carbon in the form of graphite is used in a pencil because it is soft. Gold is used to make jewelry because it is shiny and lustrous. Oxygen is inhaled by us to survive because it is a gas. Let's summarize what we have learned today. Scientists sort elements into two large categories of metals and non-metals based on their properties. Metal and non-metals generally have different physical properties. This table summarizes the properties of metals and non-metals.